Hey, this is Peter Palmiotti of Human Art Studios, and Allison will be here any second. So, welcome, one and all, to Making Comics and Art, episode 182. I'm working on a cover, and not going to be showing it. But yeah, I'll be doing this all week, working on stuff you not seeing. But today we'll be talking about public domain or Pooh-Bear domain. And this is Allison's idea for the topic for today. So really, we have to wait for her to talk about it. And she said she'd be right here. Right here. So bear with us. I just got stuff to do at 5, so I wanted to start the show. And she said she'd be right there, so here. Anyway, who's with me in the chat? There she is.
Hi. Sorry.
Hello. No problem.
I may or may not be stuffing my face during this because I'm still hungry and I haven't finished my lunch. So you'll have to deal.
Well, this is your topic of conversation and you got all the information. So, yeah, there's that too. Let's see what else is going on. Well, I don't know if I mentioned it on our show, but there was a stray cat in my neighborhood who didn't have a home anymore. It was a cat of one of my neighbors, and we called him Patrick because he kind of looks similar to my cat Clea, and it was my friend Lisa's idea to call him Patrick because Patrick.
Yeah.
Cleopatra.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. See where that was going.
Yeah. So he's got a wonderful new home at the cat sanctuary. So I was very, very, very happy. And he'll be excellently taken care of.
That's good.
Yeah. He's a sweet, sweet cat. Big cat. Big, really big. And it's funny. There is one stray I let in here. I call him Gravy. He's a great cat. And he came in today and he ate. And as I was letting him out, I saw another stray I didn't see. I think there's something going on around here. Seems to be a lot more stray cats.
That's not good.
No.
That's not good at all.
I can't take care of them all. I can only take care of my clan.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Oh, so what are you working on today, Peter?
I'm working on a cover. I'll be working on covers all week.
Is this that gatefold that you're talking about?
No, this is one for American Alchemist. It's an upcoming anthology comic that I think its focus is wrestling. I'm not 100% sure. We'll get more information about it as we get closer to the campaign and all that. But there is a American Alchemist Instagram page where you can check out covers I've done and other art related to the project. And I guess that's where you'll find information about it as it comes up. But yeah, I'm just jumping around a little bit. You know, I got a week for, you mentioned the gatefold, that and another cover. So 3 pieces essentially. I got 7 days. I figured I'd jump on this because I really need to start tossing him pages, covers. So yeah, that's, I'm sort of jumping back and forth. And we have Zoe in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Bear LLL. Bear domain.
Carol, let's see.
Landon, how are you feeling today? Feeling fine as usual?
I'm chopped liver, apparently.
No, it's every comment is directed to you as well.
Well, that one specifically says, "Hey, Peter." Just say.
But yeah, that was my clever title. Pooh-Bear, meaning public domain.
Yep. Yeah, we were going to talk about things in the public domain, like Winnie the Pooh.
Like Winnie the Pooh, most recent event. He is now public. So
yeah, the first works of Winnie the Pooh, which is the I think it was just called Winnie the Pooh, by a Milne, I believe is how to pronounce it. That is now fully in the public domain, so all characters presented within this book are public domain. That basically means that you can use anything in it, but you have to make your own versions of them. You can't like copy Disney's version or whatever else. So that is one of the big things. So you can't break trademarks that people have, but you can use the characters. And what I mean by the characters presented in there, Tigger, for instance, is not in the public domain. Tigger wasn't introduced till 1928. Superman in the public domain. The way public domain generally works is it's life of the creator plus 70 years. So Superman will enter the public domain. We'll probably mostly all be dead. So excuse me, because the might not be dead. Be 2040s maybe. What was it? Because I think Schuster died in the 70s.
Is it, since it's 2 creators, is it?
Yeah, it's based off when the last one dies, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 2033 is when it should enter the public domain. So yeah, not that long. That's actually better than I thought. But yeah, so the big one is though, whatchamacallit, Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse should be in the public domain as of 2023, I think it was I was looking at earlier. That's one of the main reasons why the whole copyright situation changed a few years back in the 1970s, specifically in 1976. 2024. So Mickey Mouse will enter the public domain in 2024.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk on it because the copyright laws were basically changed because of Mickey Mouse. It was literally because of Disney that they pushed through to get all that into the public domain as it is. Um, the trying to think of other things I had for this. Let's see. So there, which will be kind of fun because again, it'll be everything in Steamboat Willie will be effectively public domain. So you can use Mickey Mouse and you can use the villain. I can't remember the name of. It's like the big cat guy. He's a recurring villain in most of the Disney stuff. And yeah, Landon hit it right. Basically means all the famous characters will eventually be public domain. Yes. And even retro will eventually be public domain.
No. Not in my
Hopefully
time.
that will be for a very long time.
Yeah.
So the fun things about the public domain is stuff you can use. Like anybody can use Dracula, for instance, because Dracula is in the public domain. You just have to create your own variation of him. Or say you like the the Fritz Lang movie Nosferatu. That's in the public domain. Technically, it was supposed to all be destroyed by the Stoker estate, which sued the hell out of them for creating the movie. Thankfully, they weren't destroyed because it's one of my favorite movies ever made. But those are in the public domain. You just have to use your own interpretations of the characters. So, again, it's like the derivative stuff isn't in public domain, just the character concepts themselves.
Right. An easy example, it's like Thor, Marvel's Thor. Anybody can do their own variation of Thor.
Yeah, because he's a god. There's
Yeah.
people who still worship Thor, so.
But I wanted to mention Ryan Hack will be joining us tomorrow to talk about Brick-a-Back, his new project that's on Indiegogo.
That's really good.
Yeah, I already put the stream up. The stream, so you can click the notification if YouTube works. I don't know. Notifications don't work for me. But like this video if you're watching now and enjoy what we do here.
We talk about comics and art. So
yeah, share it out with your friends on your socials. We're trying to grow the channel, grow the views, all that jazz. Anything you can do to help, appreciate. Become our patrons. Allison's working on a comic book for hers, and I've been lax, but I'll be doing drawings weekdays. So
I wanted to show people this also. Didn't mean to interrupt you. I just opened this thing up and it came on. But yeah, definitely support us on Patreon. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that other fun stuff. There's stuff in the doobly-doo that tells you other things. So yeah. And what we got here? Let's see. So Ditko escaped suing Marvel over Spider-Man ownership. Any news on how that turned out? I can pretty much tell you it fails. There's nothing that they're going to be able to do to wrestle the ownership of Spider-Man from Marvel. The character's initial design was done by Steve Ditko. That's one of the reasons why he has a co-creator status. Stan created Spider-Man. He came up with the idea. He goes, I want to do Spider-Man. And make it this teenage kid who's got superpowers and all that stuff. Great idea. Spider-Man's one of my favorite characters.
Right.
That being said, of why it won't work is whenever you work for Marvel, DC, or whatever else, and this is all because of Bob Kane, that you can blame him for this. Um, Everything is
Mm.
done as work for hire. So if you do create anything for them, doesn't matter what it is, they own it. You sign the rights away. Sometimes there's like I
Yeah.
believe residual you can get off of it when it like gets reprinted and stuff like that. Pete would know more than I do about that. Um, but for the most part, you have no rights to it. It's gone, and that was definitely a thing in the '60s because in the 1940s, after Schuster got out of the army during World War II and tried to come back, he went to Bob Kane and said, "Hey, we need to like set this up and make it so we get a better deal off of these things with contracts." So when Bob Kane created Batman, he specifically stated that um, he was the sole creator of Batman, and his byline would always be on everything that they did that was Batman related. Um, and his dad was a fairly powerful lawyer, so this happened. Um, so he
Yeah.
knew how to negotiate a contract. I mean, he was no slouch. He was um, fairly intelligent already. He had the benefit of coming from a wealthy family. He did attend an art school. I don't believe he graduated, but so he went and he did that, and he came up with Batman. But the Batman that he came up with, compared to the Batman that hit the final page, looks nothing like the Batman that we know and love today. Pretty much everything about Batman was created by Bill Finger and others. Bob Kane didn't really even draw that much Batman because he had a studio and people were ghost artists for him, which again wasn't unusual for the time. Um, but yeah, so when Schuster got out of the military, he basically is like, all right, let's get Jerry here, we'll get Bob, and then we'll go to DC, which was, I believe, they were still national at the time. And they're like, let's renegotiate this and get good deals going and all that. Bob's like, yeah, it's a great idea. So he went to them ahead of time and said, hey, these two are going to do this. And we need to firm up our contract anyway because it's going to be expiring soon. And I want a better deal. Oh, yeah. And by the way, I was under 18 when I made that contract with you, which made basically the ownership of Batman null and void to him. That he technically couldn't legally have signed away the rights to Batman. So it would have been his. Rocket, shut up. I just fed you. Go away. And he wanted more money, better deal, and everything there. And it wasn't. And well, he got it because, well, DC's best-selling characters. They had, Batman was definitely up there. If he wasn't the best, he was number two. I believe he outsold Superman in a lot of ways. But yeah, so that's basically what happened, and because of what he did with that whole thing, and where he basically stabbed Seigel and Schuster in the back, they got the axe. He got another great deal that shored up Batman for him. Now then, fun parts about this: he wasn't under the age of 18 at the time. He was 24 when he created Batman. But, simple check for National, they could have found this out, but they didn't bother. But yeah, so that is effectively kind of how we got into the situation that we're in today. And I want to say it was in the 1960s, DC outright bought Batman from him. Like, they basically bought him out of his contract. I think it was in the 60s. And they only had to honor certain things about it. Luckily, like, is it 6 years ago now, Bill Finger's byline was restored to I shouldn't say restored, but actually put in there for the first time. And that is the reason why I will always say that Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Stupid Long Title, is a great movie, is because it mentions Bill Finger as basically the co-creator of Batman. It's the first piece of media that did that.
Right.
But yeah, so getting back to things that have slipped into the public domain, and yes, Batman will eventually be in the public domain, then we can all have our fun with him. We'll have to make him look a little bit different though, in some way, shape, or form, because, everybody draws Batman a little bit different anyway. But hey, so one of my favorite series that I read in my 20s was the Lensman series. It was by a writer, a pulp writer in the 1940s known as E. Doc Smith. And Lensman is one of the reasons we have such great things like Star Wars and other wonderful space opera stuff. Doc Smith literally kind of invented space opera. And Green Lantern, the Silver Age Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, is a Lensman. They say that no, we weren't inspired by Lensman. They're lying. There's too coincidences. coincidences. Like, I can definitely believe in certain coincidences where you have two similar ideas that come up, but I think we got a cat that wants to come in or out.
Yeah. What?
It's playing the game. Get out the damn door, it's cold.
Cat's in and out.
Yeah, so... But if you want an idea of what a Lensman can do, kind of look at Green Lantern. Except for they don't have problems with colors. They are fueled by willpower. The lens is specifically made for the person, and they're basically vetted heavily by an alien race known as the Arisians, which might look like the Guardians from Oa. And they come from a planet called Arisia, and they face off against an alien race called the Boscone. Well, so, I mean, hell, even later on, there was a character introduced into Green Lantern named Arisia, and, she was kind of hey, look, we really are paying tribute to Lensman now. But that being said, Lensman entered the public domain. Some of it. Not all of it. Well, we got Salazar saying hello. If I can find my mouse, I can hit it.
Welcome, Frank.
Hey, Frank. So yeah, so we have that basically Lensman enters the public domain. The works that I know for sure in the public domain are Triplanetary and First Lensman, which is funny. Triplanetary was written first, but it wasn't originally written as a Lensman story arc. It was written as just like generic sci-fi stuff, early space opera stuff. It was then co-opted into the Lensman universe. And then First Lensman came along, which was written much later than the other Lensman stories. The first Lensman story is actually called The Galactic Patrol. And there is an anime that was put out years ago, like late 1980s, early 1990s at this point, that was called Lensman. And the Smith estate got really mad because it was unauthorized. And as long as Smith's widow was alive, it basically never came over into the States. It bears almost no resemblance to the books in the slightest. So there's that. It's called Lensman. That's basically where it ends. I enjoyed the Lensman anime. I mean, it's fun, but it's fun more of as a curiosity than anything else. So yeah, so when I heard about Triplanetary and Lensman being in the public domain, I wanted to kind of do my own thing. So I started concepting some stuff out, and my idea was Journey of the Lens. And it takes place God knows how long after the Lensman series. And I could reference anything about Lensman that was presented in Triplanetary and First Lensman. So I can use the lens, I can use the Arisians, I can make references to the Boscone, I can make references to the inertialist drive, and a bunch of other concepts that Smith created, and kind of do my own thing with it. Started concepting out a character, or I have my character Orin. She has the lens, which I did kind of a close-up thing, and this is kind of how I start my concept stuff. Or when I want to do actual like official concept stuff that I want to look kind of cool. So, so yeah, so this is this type of stuff that I began doing, and I was working on this back in April. So yeah, I was quite happy to find out that one of my favorite space opera things is public domain, and it's definitely a product of its time. If you go and read them now, I mean, they're pretty corny. Like they're was it trying to think of the best way to put it. They're dated. Like when I go back and I point to like to certain pulps that are still fun to read and all that, like I consider them fun to read. But like if I was gonna say better fiction for the time frame for pulp fiction stuff, I mean I would recommend Lovecraft. I would recommend Robert E. Howard. Those would be like some of the first ones I would go to say, hey, if you want to read some really seriously cool pulp, I recommend this stuff. So, so yeah, that's kind of where I would stand there. But they are fun. I mean, they're fun, they're enjoyable, they're action packed, and you can definitely see where Lucas filed some serial numbers off. So, and you got Star Wars. Like the Death Star and all that. That's right out of Lensman. So yeah, that's part of the fun with it. Oh, Burroughs, yes. Yes, I completely agree. Burroughs also is another great pulp writer. I prefer his John Carter stuff to Tarzan, but I do also love Burroughs. So yeah, that is a good one. Yeah, so that's basically like in a nutshell the basics of stuff. Now, for some public domain stuff, you can just use. And that being said, you can use all of Burroughs' stuff. That's all in the public domain as well. So if you want to do Tarzan, you can make your own Tarzan. You can use your John Carter stuff. If you do John Carter stuff, get ready to deal with the Burroughs estate a little bit because they're a little trigger happy on anything they think that isn't public domain that actually is. But a cease and desist from you can get them to shut the hell up because it's all in the public domain. As long as you're not like using another person's designs of what John Carter looks like and stuff, you can do whatever you want with it. So yeah. Now for different things to use to check out stuff that might have fallen out of copyright and stuff and it's in the public domain, I highly recommend Project Gutenberg, which is gutenberg.org. And I'm going to post a link in the chat for it. And this contains like all the books that are currently in the public domain. So, and if you go right to their page now, one of the first things that you'll see on there is Winnie the Pooh. It'll be mentioned right on their page. So if you have questions about, hey, is this in the public domain or not? Check there. It will tell you basically what is and what isn't. Like some of Robert E. Howard's stuff is in the public domain. Like I believe the Frost Giant's Daughter is public domain, and there's a few others like the Hyborian Age poem, or not really a poem. It's Hyborian Age essay is in the public domain, so you can use the Hyborian Age as a setting if you want. And there's a few other things. Now, the interesting idea comes down to Red Sonja. Red Sonja is not a Conan character. the Red Sonja of the comics is was created specifically for the Conan comics by what's his name? Roy Thomas? Yeah, I think it was Roy
Roy
Thomas.
Thomas?
And
Yeah.
I think it was Roy Thomas, and I'd have to look it up to be sure. But Roy Thomas, I believe, was one of the creators of Red Sonja. But Howard did have a Red Sonja, and she was in his historical fiction called Shadow of the Vulture, which they did adapt at one point into the Conan comics. They had changed some stuff up in the early Marvel comics for it that introduced Red Sonja into their world. And so Howard's Red Sonja is very, very different. And Shadow of the Vulture is one of my favorite stories that Howard ever wrote. Um, she's just a damn cool character there, and it's she's basically, I think she's like a Turk, but yeah, it was a really good story. Um, I'd have to check to see if that's in the public domain or not, but yeah, I know some of Howard's stuff is in the public domain. Excuse me. Pretty much everything Lovecraft ever did is in the public domain. He basically had made all of his stuff, better way of putting it is open source. He invited people to work within his Lovecraftian universe. That's why you had stories by Howard like Pigeons from Hell, and then you had other works from what's his name? Sorry, my MS is interfering with my memory.
Was it Alan Moore?
No, not Alan Moore. This is going back people like pulp writers,
Yeah.
with the time frame, like oh, what's his name? It's a major pulp writer from that time frame. My friend Jeremy would know it immediately. I know it, just can't think of his name. Like I'm having the cognition fog. Give me 1 second. Oh, August Derleth. That's who I was thinking of. And then you also had Clark Ashton Smith. Those are people, Ramsey Campbell. These are all people who worked in the whole industry with the Cthulhu mythos and stuff. So those are people who I'd also recommend as writers and stuff like that. Steve Gutenberg? No, not Steve Gutenberg. No, it's Gutenberg as in the Gutenberg Bible. But yeah, you're having inside outside. I'm shoving something in my face.
I don't know. You guys are out of control.
They're cats. What do you expect?
Yeah, I expect them to get in line and listen to me, and that's what I expect.
No. Another place if you want to check out other books and things like that that are in the public domain is Librebox. It's an app you can download. I think it costs like $1 or $2 for a year subscription, and you literally have access to thousands of public domain audiobooks that people have recorded themselves and placed up there. So you get what you pay for quality sometimes. But you can get some pretty cool books up there, like Triplanetary and First Lensman. So I really don't recommend Triplanetary. It's kind of boring. First Lensman's cool, though. But yeah. So that is a lot of the basics on public domain. On Monday, we're going to have my friend Ian Chase Nichols. And he has done some comics with old, public domain heroes in it. So that would be kind of cool to see because he'll have some other insight on it. So we get kind of a part 2 on that when I can ask him some additional questions on it and stuff.
Right. Um, I know, like I haven't followed it too closely, but there's plenty of people in the comic community that have looked for old superheroes and characters and like, posted about, like doing their own variations on them and all that. There was even a friend of mine, Vance Caplay, who unfortunately passed away last year. And he was doing like newer variations on old public domain characters. Um, and I've seen plenty of other people like doing similar things throughout the years. It's interesting, like to take somebody's character and do your own spin on it. It's like I probably won't do anything with Winnie the Pooh, but Winnie the Pooh is like, it's a part of my childhood. Maybe I'll do a pinup, uh, or something.
Okay, so to answer Frank's question, listen to audiobooks on YouTube that Librebox recordings. It's Librebox is probably the correct way of pronouncing it. I put a link in there for it, and they could be. It could just be people reading the books aloud. They're just putting them up on YouTube. I'm not really sure on that one, so can I go from there? And just Advanced Comply used to do videos about public domain heroes and did his own hero teams.
Yeah,
That's very cool. Yeah.
that's what I was mentioning.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's the guy we were just talking about. And you're bummed when he passed away. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so I know my friend Ian's done a few anthologies, and they've all had public domain heroes in them and stuff like that. That was like the point of it. It's like go through, find some public domain heroes, and make fun stuff with them.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
They're all out. All but one.
But yeah, so fun times with that. And I like stuff in public domain. It lets me play in the universe. When I get a solid idea for my Lensman idea, I intend to do my own Lensman. So I think that will be fun. And again, I can play in a universe that I've always wanted to play with.
Right.
So eventually I'll get back to doing this, but I don't know when. Oh. But hey, I have other things in my mind right now.
Yeah. Like our book and
yeah, Nightmare is much more important right now to me than anything else. And what I intend to do for my Patreon book, which right now I'm leaning towards doing my Last Sentinel idea. Essentially, I borrowed some of the designs from my Last Sentinel character and uses a bit in aura in here, but I don't know if I might be redesigning Orin anyway. So, no, Orin's also the name of the character in The Last Sentinel, so I was repurposing my own ideas. But yeah, so I haven't really decided fully what I want to do. I've also had an idea for a martial arts fantasy that I kind of want to do too. So between those two things, Last Sentinel could end up turning into that too. So
my idea for my Patreon comic, and really like I need to have like many more patrons to make it something effective for me to work on, but is a project I call Worlds, and it's inspired by all the comics I grew up reading, heavy metal, more heavy metal, Tank Girl, very, very specific influences. And just it would just be something like a lot of fun, space travel, that kind of thing. Different worlds, different characters, and just go nuts, you know. But yeah, I play. It's like I don't get a lot of activity on my Patreon. Like a lot of people saying, "Well, you should do this, you should do that." It's more like people can, people pledge, contribute, however you want to put it. So I'm not really like leaning towards any one thing, but I do want to do something specifically for my patrons. That's why, I was like, I'm just going to draw. I'm just going to draw characters. It's like for all the time in my life that I've been reading comics, I haven't really drawn the characters I've read for the most part. So, and my art rep is always saying you should do fan art, like because that's what sells. So I figured I'd do it there.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that I've gotten more attention on the Raven pick I did than any of my other stuff. So
Yeah, it's because everybody's familiar with Raven, and you did a good job. So that too.
thank you. If I do something with Winnie the Pooh, it'll be a one-shot mini comic. I have a vague idea on what to do. Well, I definitely say go for it. I'd love to see it. I think if I was going to do my Lensman idea, I would probably do it as a webcomic. Less overhead.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody was mentioning, I forget who it was, but they were like, well, I'll just randomly throw Woody the Pooh into my comic. Like, like whatever the comic they're working on, throw Woody the Pooh pop up.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm all for it. Was it the thinking Todd McFarlane used to stick Felix the Cat into all of his Spider-Man styles, unlike all of his comics in general, because the guy bought everything that had Felix the Cat in it. So he put Felix the Cat in everything. So the guy would buy he guaranteed one sale and all the stuff. Let's see. We got Landon asking, if I penciled some cool fan art, Peter, do you think your art rep could sell it with you inking?
Well, you like I don't. Do you, okay? First question is, do you want to be rep by him? Because that would be easiest. Like he'll be repping both of us. The second question is, I forget what my second question was, but I mean, right now I'm looking at 6 months worth of work. It's like I've been taking on new work, and I really shouldn't be, and I got to put a stop to that. So, for the time being, I'm going to say, come at me later, because I just need to get books done, and it's getting out of hand. And this is why I'm focusing on covers this week, and not working on the graphic novel, which is also another thing I should be working on. I got too many things going on, so yeah, that's where I'm at.
Oh, and that was Frank who said the whole thing about sticking Winnie the Pooh and randomly into something. So that's
Okay.
cool.
There you go, Frank. Absolutely. It's a fun fun characters, so why not?
And Landon, it can wait till a further date. I understand. Just wanted to run by you. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Should I get an art rip? Should I get an art rip? I never really thought about that.
I don't know. Like for me, I was like it hasn't worked. It hasn't been phenomenal to be 1,000%. You know, transparent or whatever the kids say nowadays. But like I think I want to try to get some sequential penciling work. And I don't have good samples right now. I might have later this year. So if he can get me sequential work, that might be a very big positive. Yes. But it's like for me, it's detrimental to me because I've been bad at not saying no enough, and just kind of always saying yes, and I got to get out of that habit. And he always wants to get me work and keep me busy and all that, but he doesn't know like what my studio is up to, what I'm fully up to. So yeah, it's like this year I just want to get a lot of what's already been started done, so that's like I'm not in a position to really take on a lot.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but could it be a good thing for you? Yeah, definitely. Like if you're like you can do, like he'll get people to commission you to sell your artwork, to get you certain gigs if you're looking for drawing gigs, inking gigs, coloring gigs, whatever. Like
I wouldn't mind getting some penciling gigs. And I consider myself a decent colorist. So.
Well, he's got lots of connections with a lot of the independent publishers out there. So it's just a matter of him accepting you into his fold.
Yeah.
And so you just message him and see, like he'll ask you very specific things and I'll ask for samples of everything and all that jazz.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Frank's saying Peter keeps it real, as the cool kids say. That's it. Peter's woke. I don't think that's what that word means, but I'm using it. And Landon's, with your blessing, I'll reach out to him, Peter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. But yeah, so yeah, that's part of the fun. Yeah, see, I did the coloring on this almost 2 years ago. Actually, the art and the coloring on that almost 2 years ago in May. May of 2020. It's actually right around the time I met Mirez. I started hanging out with him more. But yeah, I love how the coloring on this came out.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that. And
does she have... No, I looked at that piece. Does she have like... Is she colored with white flesh in the comics?
The cartoon had her with whatchamacallit, like a gray skin tone.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Comics made is Good Day, Good Day. I would say Good Day.
Hey, Dean.
So yeah, the cartoon had her with like this kind of a grayish skin. Traditionally, she's always had. Well, she's a white girl. I made her skin tone a bit lighter because I don't think Raven gets a lot of sun. Just
Right, yeah.
feelings on it. I mean, she spent some time in hell growing up, or whatever hell it is that Trigon has, but I don't think they have a lot of sunlight there, so they didn't go for it.
Yeah.
I put her a little bit more in her animated look with the leotard that she wore, not really the dress that Perez had her in. And I changed up the kind of like her, I don't know, the circle things on her belt. I took that right from the cartoon, and the on her cloak I changed those. I didn't really want to draw the bird on them because I never thought the bird looked good on them, so I just kind of made them red.
They call that artist interpretation.
Yeah. And was it? I gave her kind of more like the gloves on her hands. I gave her, rather than just the long arm gloves, the skin tight arm gloves. I changed that, and I gave her the boots that she wore in the animated thing. And was it, as a person who's worn high heels, I don't know how anybody could fight in them. So I have a hard time drawing those for that reason. It was like, there's certain disconnects I can't make.
I did a book back in the mid 90s called Razor. The artist I worked with, Rich
I remember
Pollard.
Razor.
Yeah, Rich Pollard. He had a thing for characters with high heels. So every thing of his own creation, if it was a female, he put them in high heels.
Yeah.
His far.
I mean, also Raven's high heels, they weren't like a boot. I mean, she was literally wearing like, 3 to 4 inch pumps. And it's just like, that's just not gonna work. I mean, there's this commercial from years ago that showed women playing basketball in pumps, and
Yeah.
I just remember seeing that and going, how did they not break their ankles?
It was before CGI too.
Yeah, it was like back in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, unless you have flying powers or levitating powers, yeah, it doesn't make logical sense.
I mean, you can power walk in heels and stuff like that, but there's a reason why most women don't wear their heels to work, and they, put them on when they get there. They're not exactly the most comfortable thing. Although I know several women who only wear heels. They don't wear anything else, but not me. Then again, I'm 6 feet tall. I don't have to worry too much about heels. Never do.
I thought you were all outside. All right, so
Apparently you missed one.
Well, there's still one around somewhere, but she hasn't gotten out. It's like, oh my god, too much cat stuff.
Yep, all the cats.
All the cats.
And I do want to color this at some point.
That's the Ghost Rider. Yep.
Yeah, I really like how that came out. I also want to do my other Ghost Riders. So,
well, I don't love the newest one, the newest design. I mean, it looks good sometimes, but I mean, I grew up with the original, so.
Oh, I prefer Johnny Blaze. Blaze is my favorite Ghost Rider. I liked the helmet look of this Ghost Rider with the way the skull looked like, like a helmet.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. But as I said, I prefer Johnny Blaze. He's just cooler to me in that sense. And I like the fact that Ghost Rider rides a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I mean, I got nothing against the whatever the hell car is. I looked it up at one point. I think it's a Camaro, but like a '60s Camaro or something. But it was just like, yeah, that's cool. And I just don't really, care that much otherwise. I'm like, yeah, it looks cool. That's fine. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Now it's funny. Back in the day when my brother was inking, he inked a ton of Punisher stories and a ton of Ghost Rider stories. So at comic conventions, he just, he'd sign his name and draw a little skull. Like that pretty much represented both of them. So I always
yep.
thought that was funny.
Yeah, that is good. I like that.
Because how many comic conventions have I been to where writers are always bitching because it's like I can't write anything for the fans. It's like like the artists get the drawer for fans, but the writers are just standing around twiddling their thumbs.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, was it? We have Frank. Masked woman wears boots or footwear that is more like ninja shoes, so comfortable to wear and fight in. Um,
There you
Having studied Budokan Taijutsu briefly, I have moved around in what they call tabby shoes, tabby boots, and yes, they're sneakers. So yeah, the modern ones are basically sneakers. They're designed like a sneaker. Um, so I can definitely attest that they are comfortable to wear, and you can buy them at Disney World if you really want to.
Wow.
Yeah, and what was it in was it in Epcot? In Epcot, you can get them in they have them there um in Japan. There was a store there because I saw they had a pair of them there the last time I was there, and I was like, I wonder if these are in my size. They're just too small. So I would have bought another pair because they were super comfortable.
Is that so people walking around will be more comfortable?
Well, the
Or
style of shoe wasn't the ninja of Japan are very the classical ninja of Japan is very different from everything you see in the movies. Um, they didn't wear all black suits. For one thing, if somebody saw a person walking around in an all black suit like that, pretty much they knew it was an assassin. Uh, and the pitch black suit wouldn't have been a good idea anyway because you show up against moonlight and stuff. You would want something more like a blue. Um, that being said, the black suit of the ninja comes from Kabuki theater. When people were moving about in the background and during the Kabuki shows, they were all black. Which, if you notice that stagehands and stuff like that generally wear black, so they don't mix in as well with what's going on. Um, that's one of the reasons. But the ninja or shinobi, as they were primarily called, were their origins are weird and like where they truly came from, but most historians think that at one point they were most likely samurai who basically focused on stealth and infiltration along with being spies. I mean, they did do assassination stuff and things, but that wasn't really what they were known for. They were spies more than anything
right.
else. They would slip in, they could be your gardener. Actually, Tokugawa basically had a team of ninja under his command at all times. They were called the Oniwabanshu, and they were literally his gardeners.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah,
Well, we are just about at an hour, and I figured I would do this because it seemed to have people liked it last time. I did a little sneak preview. So I will show off what I've been working on.
Here.
Let's do this. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. So there we go. So this is what I'm working on. This is a American Alchemist cover, and I've been tackling the very highly detailed background. Look at this little bit right there.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. You have like
but it's a
barbarian chicks fighting.
Yeah. But it's a great piece. And yeah, I'll get to the rest of it soon. So that's your little sneak peek for hanging out so long, watching us to the end.
Let's see. Yep, my church does black light show on Christmas, and people moving props are black for that reason to blend in the background. Yep, they do. That's yeah. Said, well, I did like tech crew and all that in high school and things because I was a theater geek. They, I had to wear the all black on occasion to do the theater stuff in the background. So yeah, makes sense.
Well, I never thought I would, but I am originally from New York, and I did do some off Broadway stuff with some friends of mine. I was technical part, not that I knew much about it, but I just helped out mostly.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love actors. They're really weird people.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Salazar says very cool. You very nice cover here, and that background looks crazy. Yeah, most definitely. It's a thing about art, and especially as an inker, it's like I love detail. I don't shy away from working on it if it's crazy detailed, but knowing the process, everything gets drummed down, everything gets colored over, lettering appears in places and stuff, and like the average person is not going to even notice 1,000 lines of work that goes into this.
Yep.
It's true. I was a Broadway star.
Yeah, that's Peter, a Broadway star. He was in Cats.
Yeah, I took them all home with me after the show.
Yep. It was a thing. It happened. I saw it. You saw it here first. But anyway, till tomorrow when we have our wonderful guest on.
That's true. Ryan Hack. Brick and Brack.
Excellent. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, everyone.